Here is our VW bus, Marigold. She's 1976 Volkswagen with the Westfalia Camper conversion. It's a lovely conversion. I'll show you the inside here in a moment. This bus is for sale. And I've had different ones ask me for more information, and I shot a short video that's on Facebook, but I'm going to give you a longer version here and show you more of the bus here. I'm going to do this walk around first and just get the general overview. The bus is in really pretty good shape. It started its life in Arizona, lived in a carport out there for years without being driven, and then came to Michigan, where we discovered it when we were in South Haven, a bed and breakfast weekend, and then we brought home Marigold. So that was 22 years ago or something like that, and we've loved her ever since. Done a lot of mechanical work on her over the years, some restoration, but you'll see it is mostly original as it is right now. Let's do a quick look at the interior. So things we'll notice here is that the front seats have been recovered. The fabric came out of a 76 bus, and then the green vinyl is something that the upholsterer used. That's new. As far as the dash is in pretty good shape. It doesn't have any major issues. There are a couple of cracks on the on the steering wheel. Underneath here, I have the panels that came out for the toe kick to use as patterns to make new ones. I had to take those out because a mouse one time made a nest behind there, and I just never got my around to it to put it back. Interior wise, when we bought the bus, this cabinet was missing. I was able to find out of that 76 bus another cabinet that is original to the year, and then this includes two-burner cooktop, sink, and that spigot right there, that hole right there fills the water tank that is inside here. We'll see the water tank there. Right now that system is not working because there is a crack someplace at the bottom in the pump that I installed there to make that work. Right now the gas bottle is empty. But it did work the last time I filled it up. Behind this door right here is, or I should say cover, there is the spare tire, four-way lug wrench. I also keep an extra alternator belt, as well as gaskets for the rocker cover in there. Just good to travel with things like that. Looking at the rest of this interior, you'll see the original fabric on the curtains, the seats. That's the table. The table swings out to become a table for the bench there. Up overhead we have our bunks. I did replace the tent material, but that was 20 years ago, and it could stand it again. That's the original headliner that's in there, and the original sun visors. All that is still operative, and of course no bus is complete unless we have a dancing girl on a dash, and she does dance the whole time we're driving. Other things might be interesting here. I did replace this rubber a few years ago, and it's just aged. These things never last very well, and you can see that it's falling down a little bit there. So a person might be able to salvage this or get new and replace. One of our rust spots is this step right here. And that step has got, as you see, some see-through stuff going on. And then there is the metal part where you could cut that out and put and replace that way. So I'll show you other rust here in a moment. And this is the original green carpet. That's there. It's in pretty good shape. We've been keeping this rug on it to try to help protect it from most of our foot traffic and that kind of thing. So as far as Camperville, what we have, this sofa flips out to become a bunk. I'm going to show you that here in a little bit. And then underneath of that table, the forward hatch is an ice box where you can put ice in with your stuff. There's no refrigeration to it. It does have a drain built into it. And then behind that is a storage area over the wheel well. And other storage in here is that closet right there. We have hanging storage there, and then we have shelf storage in that overhead compartment there. So that makes up most of the storage for that kind of a thing. Underneath the bench here, behind the door, we have more storage back in there. You can see I've got it loaded up pretty good. I'll show you underneath the bench here in a little bit. And then storage underneath here, we've got places for pots and pans or whatever you're going to put in there. And then, of course, there's other storage locations we'll get to in a little bit. So here we can see with the top up. With the top up, we have room for 2 sleeping in the overhead bunk. And then I'll flip the couch out here in a moment, and I'll show you the lower bunk right now. Take notice that the passenger's chair does spin around to give extra seating towards this circle. And I'm going to come up in here before I flip it out. Here is the area where we can stand up. We got enough room to stand, change clothes, or work on things at the kitchen counter and be able to prepare. Oh, here's a little beauty mark you need to see. That is a sunflower that is hiding a hole in the canvas. I patched that up, sewed it in, glued it down, etc., etc. A mouse one time ate a hole in that. So these screens, these flaps open up to expose the screens, and then this front one here, the screen actually zips out as well, so you have access to that forward storage over the driver's compartment. Let me open this again and show you what this is. So now we've got a cooking area here, cooking, food prep, that kind of thing, and then I keep a foil cover that will go over this so that bacon grease wouldn't splash onto that, but I made that up. And so let me do this now. This bunk flips out pretty easily. Let me just grab a hold of that right there. Okay, so now what we have is essentially a double bunk. What you see there is a piece of foam that I keep stored there. It'll go with the bus, but it folds into thirds and stores there, flips out, and adds another 2 inches of padding onto this upper bunk here. And by the way, when I bought the fabric off that other $76 that was being parted out, I was able to buy more. I bought this fabric with it. We used about half of it to cover those front seats, and I've got more that will come with the bus. So here I pulled the table out into its usable position, and you can see that it would give a place for 2 people at least, 3 if they're small, to sit at the bench seat there. This table also wheels around out of the way to make it easier to get in and out. And then I'll have to remove the table before I can flip out the sofa. So here we are with the bench seat, lower bench seat folded out. And you can see now that we've got a cushion area, again, about the size of a double bed. It's not real huge, but it's big enough for 2 adults if they're in love with each other. And then, like I said, I have underneath the bench seat, we have a hammock that will come in, and it will rest in 4 points. You see this galvanized bracket right here. And so there's one forward, and then there's one aft as well. On each side. Let's see if I can find it in the camera. There we go. And so with that and the others, there's poles that go across, and then there's a canvas that swings over these front seats. Just have to remove the headrests so that it has room to go. My granddaughter has slept up there before, and it works pretty good for that. So 2 adults up, 2 adults down, a child in a hammock, and we went camping one time, took our smaller granddaughter as well. The 6 of us slept in here, and it was quite the experience. Let's take a moment to look at the bench seat a little bit more. So what we have is we've got a 110 volt outlet here. That's if you plug a cord into an outlet that's on the exterior of the van. It powers that one outlet. You see the breaker there attached to it. And I've used it a few times. I assume that it's healthy. As with every electrical device, what do you know? And then here we see the fact that we have the original Westfalia conversion going on here. And then I'm going to make an attempt to one-handed open this thing. We have a latch right there for the seat. And so I'm going to reach in, push the button, and pick up. And then underneath the seat. So we have this storage underneath there. Oh, there's my jumper cables, TP for the porta potty. There's the canvas all rolled up there. That becomes the hammock over the front seat. And you see there's plenty of room. And also notice that there's seat belts back there. So if a person has extra passengers, there are seat belts to pull up into that will come through this crack right here, and so you can belt in your rear passengers. As long as I'm on the topic of seat belts, let me come back and show you this one as well, because we have this seat belt hanging on a hook right there that is for the front seats. So it's not the automatic retractables that you're used to in a modern vehicle, but it does the job. So we'll do that. And one more thing while I'm inside here I want to look at is that the overlay, the laminate overlay in here is not perfect. As you can see, we've got some chunks missing. It's a little bit loose. And if I pull this top back down, we've got a spot back here that, you know, where the sun coming in through the window has taken it out over the years. So if I were keeping this, I would plan on relaminating all of that. It's not a complicated job, just takes a little bit of time. And so that's something that it would need. Looking at this rear area, here is the closet that I was talking about, and we have some open shelves here. I want to show you a couple of things that I keep with me. One of them is this air gauge for adjusting carburetors. The Weber carburetors, I'll talk about that a little bit. And then I also keep with me all the time a timing light in case I need to fiddle with ignition stuff. And then I've got a test starter switch in here as well that aids with anything timing wise that I might want to do. I am my own mechanic. For 20 years I've been over 20 years I've been doing all the work on this bus myself. Every improvement has been with the mindset that I'm keeping it forever, and so I've tried to do top drawer all along. So let's look under the hood. Under the hood here, what we have is the typical 2-liter motor here. It's the flat 4, like many. It's not the upright engine like in some of the older buses. This has got the horizontal layout to it. And so there's our fan that is going to push air through this duct system and all through to keep the motor cool. And then you'll see on the ad where I talk about the dual Webers. We have 2 Weber carburetors, 2 barrels each carburetor. The way that this motor is ported, one throat of a carburetor goes to 1 cylinder. So 4 throats, 4 cylinders, easy to keep adjusted. It's just a kind of a bulletproof setup one to set up. Right now it might run a little bit rich. Somebody that knows more about it than I might want to lean it out a little bit. It's running just fine right now. Gas economy is somewhere in the 15 to 16 miles per gallon. The electronics we see right here, this coil is part of the electronic ignition system. I replaced the distributor with this Tektronix version, and what that means is there's no condenser. There's no condenser and there's no points. So that makes it a little more dependable. You don't have to worry about setting points in the field. Also, if we go underneath here and look around a little bit, what we're going to see is the blue cover right there is a valve cover. And so on the occasion, you will have to change that gasket, but we have hydraulic lifters in this motor, so there's none of that going on. Oh, look at that piece of wire there. Isn't that funny? But I had a problem for a while, and I used that piece of wire to solve it, but I've since resolved that problem and just forgot to take the wire back off. But anyway, it's got the stock exhaust system on it. What you see here is the lack of the heat box. The heat system has been stripped off of it. I don't go in cold weather, and so I took that off years ago when we still lived up in Indiana and camped a lot in Michigan. So it never worked well on any day, so it's not much of a loss. But motor-wise, the motor is solid. It runs really great. We have the young man that bought this in Arizona and brought it back to Michigan, blew the motor up halfway home, and they put a crate motor in it. So this is not the original serial number. It's not the original motor. It's got about 40,000 miles on it now, and it seems to run out great, and I've not had any mechanical issues. I do have a slow oil leak in there that I can't find. I had the motor out last summer and replaced the clutch disc and all that stuff, throughout bearing, and the cable. So the clutch is in good shape. While I had it out, I changed all the seals I could get to, and the only thing I didn't do is crack open the case and reseal the right and left halves of the case. So to get the final oil leak, I think would require something deeper than what I did, which would be pretty deep. And anyway, I think that takes care of us under the hood. In the spirit of full disclosure, I did have an engine fire, not really an engine fire, I had an electrical fire in the engine compartment here about 4 years ago. This was all sooted up in black. I dropped the motor then. I rewired everything from the firewall back, and anyway, everything's good now. What was it? There is a voltage regulator clear up there in that front right, and those wires that hang out underneath there, it goes down in the harness, the insulation got old, cracked, and they shorted out, and then they started that rubber, that black foamy rubber that seals off the compartment, started that on fire. So basically, I had a rubber fire sparked off by electrical, and so like I say, I replaced all the cables, I replaced a couple of parts on the carburetor that was close to the fire, and but anyway, like I say, it's been running great. You wouldn't know about it unless I told you. And so anyway, here's our engine compartment, all cleaned up pretty good now. Oh, the battery is less than a year old. I replaced that about 3-4 months ago. So we're good to go. So here we are for a startup. Ignition key is on. You've got under 75,000 miles. I do have an aftermarket tach. Clutch depressed. There she's running out. We're neutral. Now for patina and rust. You know, repainting the bus, I've had different ones tell me, don't repaint it, leave it in its original paint as much as you can, put a clear coat on it and go. Others would like to see it more pristine and a complete go-through. I'm in the latter camp. I think it would benefit from a complete going through. Why do I say that? Well, we look at this rust right here on the windshield, and what do you see? A bubble up. If I start picking on that, it wouldn't take too long and I'd be all the way through the metal. I've already repaired that before. like 8 or 9 years ago, and it held for a long time, but then this last summer it started to pop again. So the windshield needs to come out, and all the way around, it's just little things are popping here and there like that. When I did that a few years ago, I did paint the entire nose, and then I also painted the driver's door because somebody else had already painted it and did a terrible job of it, used the wrong color paint, essentially. And then anyway, and then something else that's going on here is I put my shoulder, did a stumble fall and put my shoulder into that and did that damage right there. I got a bump on my shoulder permanently as a result. And then I already showed you the rust underneath the step, and there's a little bit of rust on the face of that. So the piece I bought might be the right one, maybe get a different one. You can see a little bit of rust coming out around the edge of the bumper there. And again, if I redo it, that bumper's going to come off. I'm going to sandblast it on both sides and start with a good coat of a good primer and go from there. Let me show you another rust spot, and that's this one right here. So we've got over the wheel well on this side, on the passenger side, I got a couple of spots where it's starting to rust through. And of course, you can buy that piece of metal as a repair kit. Cut out that flare in a couple of inches and replace that. Let me go around the bus here. This kind of rust is different places. I'm going to put my finger in it so you get an idea of the size. It's a little scratch that's taken place someplace in a parking lot or maybe in a garage before I had it. Yeah, I did this one though. That's my sin there. As we come around to the back, yeah, that was there, and a little rust is beginning to pop around the opening. You can see, and here a couple of years ago, I did the rust around the rear window opening, but you can see that it's starting to come back again. That window needs to come out. I would take a Stanley knife, cut out the window so I don't break the glass, and get a new seal and do the work and put it back right. Other stuff that you're going to see, things like this. Again, this is why I would take it apart, and to get this panel off right here. Requires removing a couple screws from underneath on each end, and then just pushing it straight upwards, and that comes right off. And then you can buy this welt right here, this black vinyl welt. You can buy that new. That goes in there, keeps it from being a rattle. And we can see on this side now, we got a little surface rust, but we don't have any rust through. Oh, make a liar out of me. There's a little bit of bubble there that probably would become a hole if I picked on it a little bit. But again, I would buy that whole wheel arch and then cut off the last foot of it and use it, or maybe use the whole wheel arch, whatever. But then I was talking about electric a little bit ago. Here is the electrical outlet. And so standard extension cord, plug right into that. And so, 15 amps, 20 amps, whatever it is, there you go. So over here, that's a vent for the sink. And then again, just a little rusty patches, little tiny things here and there. But again, I would clean it up and go all the way. Talking about tires briefly, these are Continental Vancos, and they're a nice tire for this. It's a light truck tire. This bus is heavier than a typical passenger vehicle. You don't want to use passenger car tires. And anyway, the Continental Vancos are kind of expensive. They weren't too bad when I bought them 8-9 years ago, but now they're aging out. We still have tread, but they're aging out. I wouldn't keep them on very long if I were keeping the van. I'd be replacing them. And there's a couple of other brands that will do just as well. Continental, I think, has stopped selling in the United States very much, and so they've become very expensive on this side of the pond. I'd probably get the Van Kooks or something like that. Anyway, there we go. You've seen inside and outside, and all you haven't done is gone to the bottom side. So let me do that real quick because I'm going to show you the underside. It's really pretty good shape. Let me just start by going into this wheel well right here and looking at that, and you don't see the rust through that you might on some. And then if I can't really show you the beam very well, but underneath here, beams in good shape. And I've replaced tie rod ends, drag link, that kind of stuff. The steering is pretty tight right now. And then here is the gas bottle. The gas bottle is one that I got off of a 76 bus, and I refurbed it, replaced all the valves and fittings and etc. And anyway, so it's the old tank, all new stuff a few years ago. And anyway, I believe it's all in good shape. I haven't used it for a couple of years, but it was in good shape last time I used it. Okay, so what I want to show you here underneath the bus is that the floor pans are in pretty good shape. So you see a little bit of the original yellow paint in places, some rust, patina in other places. But the only rust through underneath here was the battery underneath the battery box, and I replaced it with a new tray. So all in all, pretty good shape, pretty solid. If I were restoring it, I would get my water sandblaster and come underneath here and blast the heck out of that and put a new Pour 15 style undercoat on there. Well, here we are at the conclusion of our video, and just one final word. She's a fine old bus. We've loved her a lot for, like I said, over 20 years. And mechanical shape, I think she's in great shape. Be able to drive it most anywhere. Run it slow, keep it under 60 miles an hour, 65 at the max, and make sure the oil stays up on it. It does have a slow leak, but other than that, she runs great. I will say, though, that I've told the story a few times. On our last trip to the Keys, it's about 5 hours one direction. On the way back, 30 miles from home, a seal blew out in the transmission. Oh man, transmission grease, I smelled it, and it's like, oops. And we ended up on a flatbed, made it home, ordered a couple of parts off of the Samba.com, and $50 in a couple hours of my time, and we're back on the road. So anyway, travel with tools, have a backup plan, love her. It's a great bus to have. So if you have any questions, be sure that you call me out, and I'll do my best to answer them. I'm an open book on this thing. I don't want anybody to be surprised by what they pick up, but I know that the next owner is going to love her. Some have asked, why are you selling this bus if you love it so much? Well, we had Hurricane Ian. We live here in Southwest Florida, and 3 years ago, we were in the eye of Hurricane Ian, and my dock was destroyed, and it's about a $20,000 process. And so Marigold is going to be turned into water fund for us in our elder years here. So anyway, God bless. Hope you love it. Looking for someone to buy it. Talk to you later.